This is an introduction into AutoCAD 2010, which is similar to 2011 and 2012. It's pretty much the same using the ribbon system up here. The ribbon system is different from the old system. With the old system, you just had tools and you drop down, and they didn't have buttons strolled across here. They just had commands that you clicked on. So the ribbon system also is somewhat intelligent in that when you're working on something such as multi-text and you click on it, then it'll populate no matter what tool or tab that you're in. It'll populate just for a minute into that so that you can edit whatever you're doing, and then once you get done it'll go back to where you were. So it's a little better than the old system once you get used to it. Keeping in mind never to get intimidated by all these boxes and all these little pull downs, because you're just trying to start out drafting, drawing, or the basics, because you're not going to use most of all these anyway, so don't worry about that. They always put more in there that you need. However, you got it if you need it. So if we just do the first one here, we'll just draw a line. You click on the line again with your left button on your mouse, click, and you can draw a line. And you notice down here, always look at your command line, because that's where it's going to tell you what to do. You know, it's not always interactive just up here with the mouse. There are ways that you can click on some tools down here to see what you're doing, but you always need to look at your command line while you're drawing. It says, okay, what's the next point you want to go to? You can hit F8, or you can go down here and you can click Ortho Mode on, and it makes it go straight, horizontally, or kind of vertically up and down. And then if you want to say, I want to go like 50 units, or you could say that's 50 feet or 50 meters, and you can use your mouse scroll button to go back and forth. If you don't have that, then you can go up here. There's zoom. Anytime you see a little hourglass, you can do that. You know, also you can zoom window. There's all kinds of zoom features. And the main thing that I would tell you about these buttons and how to get around and do things is go into your help box and type in help, and it will tell you and actually show you and bring up a diagram. You can also go to your tutorials. I'd go to tutorials. This has some Civil 3D stuff in it, but you know, AutoCAD has a lot more in there, and your user guide and references and things. Go through that and it will tell you all what to do. And moving right along, you know, that's how you draw some basics in that. You know, we're going through the boxes here first. This is your modify. You have draw, modify, and again, say we wanted to offset that line. Then look down here, it's going to say how far you want to offset it. Well, you can click, or you can type in. We could say we're going to offset it 10 units, and click it, and go 10 units up. Then we're moving right along. This is our layers. Again, advanced stuff. If you don't know your layers, you can click right here is the main thing to know what layer you're on, and you can change your layer as you go. Always make sure that you're on the right layer of the right thing that you're drawing, and do create layers if you get in the advanced stages for each object that you're doing. Don't put everything on layer 0. And there's some advanced things. The pull downs are mainly your advanced things. Your multi-text over here is just that's what I always would use. Don't use just plain text, because there's so many things you can do multi-text. You hit that, and you'll notice what, like I said earlier, this automatically populates as a text ribbon up here. Say, what do you want to do with this text? You know, you can put in symbols and all that. We're just going to type in text, and we want to change the height of that to something like 10 units. Okay, so we change the height of that to 10, and there's how you do, you know, a multi-text. And again, a multi-text is something like, you know, you can hit enter and continue to do paragraphs and things like that. So you don't want to just do plain text but multi-text. And moving right along, you have some. This is how you insert a block, which would be like a standard symbol or maybe another little drawing or something like that. Here's your layers. You want to keep that layer. I recommend never to change all that, or you're really going to mess things up, because you're going to have things on different layers or by layer. Because if you click on one of those, you can change it by layer colors and things like that. But if you change everything by layer, you can, and have it isolated, you'll be able to change it quickly by just a click of a button, versus, oh gosh, this one's on one layer, this is on one color, this is all mixed up. Your little measure tool over here, you can do measure, copy and paste over here. You'll notice as you move down here that the same things are down here. You have a save here, you have a save up here, you have an undo, you have a print, you have a print down here, plot, previews, cut. Just scroll across the buttons and you can actually see what they do. Here's your zoom in, zoom out. These are advanced subjects you start getting into your tool palettes design center. These are your standard like text styles. This would be your dimension styles and styles of other features. Here's another block showing of your layers right up in here. It shows what layer you're actually on, and this shows by layer, by layer, by layer. So it's again the same thing as what's up here, and this is all at home. So we'll move right on to insert. Insert is an extended version of the insert that we looked at earlier at home. It gives you a whole lot more, and this is where you'd want to insert things like your reference file or a picture under attach. That's where you would do that. Hit attach, and you can pick a reference file and attach it there, and different items in there. Annotate we've looked at once. Like I said, if we go back, it gives you all your text. Here's your dimensions. You can do a dimension really quick, and you'll have to set this up often to your scale that you're using when you get better at it. And you can move right along to the leader system, where you have leaders and other advanced things here, tables and wipeout. I do not ever suggest using wipeout. I'm fully against wipeout, but some people use it because it causes a lot of problems with your PDF files. PDF files don't like that. Revision clouds are okay if you need to revise something, and again, your scales. Your scales are also down here at the bottom. We'll look at that in just a second after we finish all that. But again, you just scroll right through all your buttons. It usually tells you what you can do. You have some advanced features up here, which again, internet related things in your search. Okay, after you get done with that, we'll take a look at the bottom down here, and again you have your command line, and if you ever you need to look at that, because it often will ask you questions and have options down there. You need to learn how to look down there as well as up here. If you ever get stuck and something's not working, that's probably why. These are little buttons. I don't always turn these on a snap mode. It just makes you go, if you do a line like a polyline, you can snap, and I don't use that. The grid system, a lot of people, that's kind of old school to me. I don't use a grid. You can draw little squares and things of that nature with grid. Ortho is important because it makes you draw something straight, and you can turn it off. Polar tracking is like your angle if you do your polar tracking. And then you have the one that I probably want to use is your object snap. Now if you want to change the features on any of these boxes, simply hit your right button, and you'll notice these squares around these is where your line's going to snap to if you use your line into drawing something. If you want it to go from one end of the line to the other, or center of an object, then that's where you click it to. Otherwise, if you don't want all those, you unclick them, or you can just unclick the box and make sure it's not, if it's highlighted, then see use again. Object snap tracking mode, and also you have a bunch of your dynamics here, which a lot of people use the dynamic settings, and that's if you put a polyline in here, you see how it gives you all these features. You can actually type in your distance in here, like that, without going to your command lines. So that's what a dynamic will help you do right there, and unclick that. Again, I don't use a lot of those as much, and I've been doing this before CAD version 2 came out. But again, I'm so used to using everything, I find out what's the right things. But you need to know this stuff, but you won't figure all this out right off the bat. So don't be intimidated by that. Just start drawing some things, and I'll show you some other things. Again, oh, here's your model space. You get into paper space. That's a whole different subject. You're drawing in model space right now, which is your, like in the real world. This is a real world setting. You're drawing real lines that represent something that would be physically actually be built in the real world or on the ground. And that's what these other features. Again, here's your another pan. AutoCAD always has tons of the same buttons around that do the same thing. Here's your scales again, and you can just keep going around here. You have your interface modes. You don't have a lot here. You just want to, you can go back to AutoCAD Classic. If you go back to AutoCAD Classic, let's see, now you see what it was like before. I don't recommend doing that because you want to learn the new stuff so that you can keep your job and keep up new technology. But now you can see what I was talking about earlier, the old stuff. See how you pull things down here, you scroll across here, and you start from left to right. Now you might use that to help you learn a little bit, but you want to keep it with the new technology that's moving on, so that, because really it's competitive to do that. So we click back to our interface to get our ribbon system to come back up over here. So that's kind of important there, down in there. Okay, once you get through all that, again, your parametric, you're not going to use a whole lot of that. It's advanced subjects. Your views, you're not going to use much of that until you learn how to use 3D, because a lot of that's 3D, and also your viewports, which are in the paper space. Manage, you won't be doing a lot of that until you. So a lot of these you won't be using, and you won't, even once you get advanced, you won't probably be using a lot of these. Output is your plot and print. Again, you have the same thing over here, plot and print. Your vault, that is your actual, like saving files to this network system. It's advanced. Express Tools is a good one to know. Just click on that and understand that there's a lot of kind of a goodies bag CAD thing, like you can do art, text, and break lines, stuff that you can't find anywhere else in CAD that you might need to do real quick while you're doing a drawing that helps you out. That's kind of what Express Tools are, goody tools. Okay, looking at Amazon.com, here's two books that you really need. You need the Autocad Instructor by James Leach, whether what version you got. Even if you can't afford one, get a version earlier. It's still, the commands are usually the same, and they'll tell you how. If you're using the newer system, you have to use the 2010 and above, but your company usually will pay for that, and I'd look at a used bookstore. I'd highly recommend that. That's kind of like the Bible to all your commands in AutoCAD. That's one, and that's nationwide. Here's another one, Technical Communication Graphics. This is kind of more of your reading standards, what's behind drafting design. Why is your lines thick and thin? When should they be? How should your dimensions be? Setups and management and your standard basic graphics from a draft and how things should look and things of that nature. So your Technical Graphics Communications and your AutoCAD 2012 Instructor by James. Those are two books you really need to have. Getting back to this, I hope that helps you get started. 4D CAD design, give me a holler on my site, and I'll try to help you out or do your video on something if you need it. Thanks.